Peppa Pig has tons of fun characters that everyone loves, like Miss Rabbit. It's always great when she shows up on screen, but what's even more amazing is when characters from other shows make an appearance. Ben and Holly. You probably never noticed, but it's happened several times. Someone from another show has popped up in Peppa Pig. In many episodes, you can spot a blonde fairy somewhere in the background, whether it's in a book, on a wall, or even on a big screen right in the middle of the city. That girl is Holly, one of the main characters from Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, a children's cartoon made by the very same studio behind Peppa Pig, which explains why we see so many references to that show throughout Peppa's world. Her friend Ben also appears alongside her in several of those moments. Studios love to reference their own creations, so of course this one did too. Many fans even believe Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom takes place in the same universe as Peppa Pig, meaning these cameos might not be random Easter eggs at all, but actual clues to a secret connection only a few people have noticed. She's just one of the 10 characters from other shows you didn't notice in Peppa Pig. You know what's starting. It's another awesome Cinewave! Sir Boris. Peppa's show, just like Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom, isn't the only cartoon created by its makers. Years before, they were already making animated series, one of them called The Big Knights, a story about two clumsy knights who go on epic medieval adventures. This animation wasn't nearly as successful as Neville Astley and Mark Baker's later works, the creators of Peppa Pig. Still, they clearly respect their roots and even included a little tribute to that old project in the episode The Library. On one of the posters on the library wall, you can see a knight who looks like he walked straight out of the Middle Ages. That's Sir Boris, one of the main heroes from the Big Knights. And in that same scene, you can also spot a Ben and Holly Easter egg. Holly herself appears on the cover of a book. Both Easter eggs showing up in the same episode hardly seem like coincidence when you remember that many fans also believe the Big Knights exists in the same universe as Peppa Pig, alongside Ben and Holly. Civilized animals don't appear in the Big Knights, but maybe that's because the story takes place long ago, before animals took over the world, or perhaps in a faraway country where humans are still the dominant species. Haruhi Suzumiya. Don't go thinking that only shows related to Peppa Pig get to make cameos. Not at all. The show even referenced a character from an anime, and not from a super popular one like Naruto or Dragon Ball, but from an anime that only hardcore fans of Japanese animation would recognize. This Easter egg shows up in the episode Peppa's Christmas, when Santa Claus visits the pig family to bring them Christmas gifts. The house is full of holiday decorations, including several pieces of paper with drawings. And it's in one of those drawings that our surprise guest appears. That girl is Haruhi Suzumiya, the star of the sci-fi comedy anime The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. If you've never heard of it, don't worry. Even many anime fans haven't, which makes her appearance in Peppa Pig even more surprising. Could one of the British animators be a secret fan of the series and decided to sneak in a hidden tribute? Let that be a warning for all of us. Who knows how many other obscure references we've missed in Peppa Pig, simply because we didn't recognize what was being referenced. Petey, what if we told you that a tiny detail that's appeared in countless episodes might actually be a reference to a character who has absolutely no connection to Peppa Pig? That character would be Petey from the Dogman franchise, which started as a series of books but later got turned into an animated movie produced by DreamWorks. Petey, also known as the world's most evil cat, is famous for his orange fur with black stripes. Sure, that description also fits Garfield, but Petey is taller and skinnier. And guess what you can find in Peppa's bedroom? A drawing of a cat that looks suspiciously like Petey. It might actually be an intentional reference. Even though the DreamWorks movie only came out in early 2025, Dogman has been one of the biggest children's book series for years. So the Peppa Pig artist may have decided to add a fun little nod to the canine cop's archenemy. And here's the ironic part. One of Dogman's biggest enemies is Piggy, a crazy little pig who causes all sorts of trouble. We bet Peppa would take that Petey drawing off her wall if she found out about that anti-pig propaganda in the books. And if you agree that pigs can be kind and awesome too, drop a comment below saying #pig. Nanny Plum. Just like with Ben and Holly's cameos, we've got another character who crossed over from the fairy world. Her name is Nanny Plum, a fairy who works as Holly's personal nanny. Her appearance also shows up in books read by the Peppa Pig characters, as if someone once saw her and turned her into a local legend. And here's a fun fact. In the original English version, Nanny Plum is voiced by the same actress who voices Miss Rabbit. Talk about a talented woman who loves playing iconic characters.
Pirate. We've already talked about a few Ben and Holly characters appearing in Peppa's show, but would you believe there's another one that sneaked in without anyone realizing it? Because that might just be the case with the pirate. The pirate only appeared a few times in Peppa Pig, but every time he does, it's pretty funny. He's always pretending not to be a real bandit. His look fits the classic pirate style, a red-haired man with a big hat and an eye patch. Here's the twist. Both his appearance and outfit are almost identical to Redbeard, the elf pirate from Ben and Holly's Little Kingdom. And you can't really claim it's just because they're both stereotypical pirates. The resemblance is way too strong, even taking that into account. The big difference between the two is that one's human and the other's an elf. Still, that doesn't necessarily mean they aren't the same person. Maybe Redbeard is an elf who occasionally uses magic to shapeshift into a human. That would explain a lot. Santa Claus. We already mentioned the anime character who made a hidden cameo in a Christmas episode, but we can't ignore another much more famous face. One that doesn't belong to Peppa Pig at all, but still shows up in her holiday adventures. Santa Claus. Now, he's not exactly a character from another show, more like a character from all shows. Santa's a legendary figure who's been adapted into countless cartoons and movies, always flying around in his sleigh with his reindeer every Christmas night, delivering presents straight from his North Pole workshop to all the good kids. The Peppa Pig version of Santa Claus is fascinating for many reasons. He's one of the few humans who appear in the series, but he's definitely not an ordinary one. He seems to have real magical powers. And if Santa truly is as ancient as most versions portray him, that means he's lived through earlier eras of this world and probably knows the answers to some of the biggest mysteries, like the truth behind the rise of civilized animals and what really happened to the human population for it to become so rare today. Tooth Fairy. And before you start wondering, no, Santa Claus isn't the only legendary being to appear in the show. Peppa Pig actually features a few magical creatures too, which is pretty unexpected for such a down-to-earth kids cartoon, one without magical battles or crazy fantasy adventures in every episode. That didn't stop the show from introducing, in the episode The Tooth Fairy, well, you guessed it, the Tooth Fairy herself. She shows up to collect Peppa's lost tooth after the little piggy puts it under her pillow. The funny thing is, this Tooth Fairy looks just like Peppa, but much smaller and with wings. That's why some people believe it might have just been Peppa's imagination. However, that's not necessarily true. Fairies are magical creatures after all, and they can use all sorts of powers. If there are clues that Redbeard can transform into a human, why couldn't the Tooth Fairy cast a spell to look like Peppa and avoid scaring her if she happened to wake up? There's a new video here every day, so subscribe and hit the bell to stay up to date. Big Bad Wolf. Besides all those cases, some fans actually believe that even the Big Bad Wolf himself has made an appearance in the show, only under a different name, Mr. Wolf. Yes, Wendy's dad! And honestly, the theory isn't as crazy as it sounds once you pay close attention to this character. He often does some pretty strange things, like asking Daddy Pig what his house is made of. Sounds familiar, right? It's almost as if Mr. Wolf is checking whether he could blow it down, just like the Big Bad Wolf does with the houses of the three little pigs. So could it be that the Big Bad Wolf is hiding out in Peppa Town under a fake name, hoping no one ever discovers his past crimes? Three Little Pigs. If we follow that same logic, the show might have already introduced the Three Little Pigs without us realizing it. That's because they could actually be the main characters of the cartoon. Peppa, George, and the youngest, Evie.
Those little jokes comparing Mr. Wolf to the Big Bad Wolf automatically make the pig family fit perfectly into the roles of the Three Little Pigs. Except that the original Three Little Pigs didn't have parents. They were 3 siblings who lived on their own. Peppa, George, and Evie are siblings too. The only difference is that they do have parents, one of them being Daddy Pig, who, knowing the dangers of wolves, made sure their house was built out of bricks, a material that can't be blown down, just like in the classic fairy tale of the Three Little Pigs. So the question is, will Mr. Wolf ever get tired of pretending to be nice and finally decide to attack the pig family? The fun doesn't stop here. There are 2 amazing videos waiting for you on the screen. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.